because I watched the Lakers and AD got his eyeball scratched and he left the game, and that was the end of that game. And their defense is bad with AD. Without AD, it was basically a lob line at the rim. It was a layup line. It was ridiculous. Yeah. How many times is Draymond going to throw that lob before there's some sort of defensive effort to try to stop it? It's just Curry cuts, Draymond rolls, give it to Draymond. Draymond lobs it to the rim. Bam. They only ran it about 38 times against the Lakers.
How about Draymond's passes to Steph? How about Draymond's passes on the back doors?
So tell me
Draymond's
the path.
on the lobs.
Yeah, tell me the path.
Okay, here's the path. Lakers right now are sitting 10th in the Western Conference. All right, so 36 and 32. According to Tankathon, the Lakers have the 9th toughest schedule left in the NBA. If you go look at their schedule, a lot of winnable games.
Oh, yeah, it's not much.
A lot of winnable games. Yeah. This is actually, you could kind of take a deep breath here. The problem is they lost to Sacramento, they lost to Golden State, so they're in the position that they're in. Trev, their path, this is the only shot that they have of making some noise in the playoffs, and all of this has to happen in order for them to be there, okay? Vando has to be back before the season ends. He just has to. There is no, if you go look at this Lakers team. And
what's his prognosis?
So supposedly towards the end of the month.
Doesn't leave much time.
It doesn't leave much time. And again, if none of these things happen, then the season's probably going to be over by the time we get to April 20th or whenever the play-in tournament's done. Jared Vanderbilt has to be there. He has to be there. All these other guys that are out, to be honest, I don't think the world's going to change. Cam Reddish is going to come back, but the world won't change. Gabe Vincent, to be honest with you, if you've only played 5 games this year,
it's like getting a brand new player that has no familiarity with what you're doing.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
At least Vando, you just kind of know exactly. This guy comes in for one purpose, and that's it. He's going to grab rebounds. It will also take Rui potentially back off the bench because they have no bench right now. Their path is Jared Vanderbilt has to be healthy.
Okay.
Has to be healthy. Their path is just avoid the number 10 spot.
Which they're in right now.
One of the easier schedules left. There's a random team that I really think is just going to keep kind of going backwards. Phoenix has, according to Tankathon, the second toughest schedule left in the NBA. Second toughest. They played Milwaukee yesterday. Giannis was not there. They're getting blown out.
Yeah.
Gave up 80 in the first half.
Yikes.
Okay. The path is Jared Vanderbilt's got to be back. They have to avoid the number 10 spot. And if they can do that, now you're basically asking to win one game at home to put you in a spot to win one game on the road. Okay, I get it. I know that the Lakers aren't exactly a team that you could depend on. I'll still take my chances if Vanderbilt's there, that they can have a good enough team to win one game at home, one game on the road. The Denver Nuggets lost yesterday. Something to keep in mind here, okay? Denver Nuggets lost yesterday to Dallas. That's the Luka shot or the Kyrie shot.
We're going to spend some time talking about that later on because I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that before. That was stupid.
You're trying to just avoid the Denver Nuggets as long as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. OKC's the number 1 team right now in the Western Conference. The only chance that the Lakers have, not, hey, if one of these goes, the only chance that the Lakers have, in my opinion, of making any type of noise, Vando comes back, you avoid the number 10 spot, and you get the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round. That's basically the only shot that you got. Because if...
That's so funny to think of, and it need to be
it has to
OKC
be all of this.
At the number 1 spot. And you're hunting the number 1 seed.
You're hunting the number 1 seed, and again, I go back. If they're 10, they're not getting out of the play-in. And I'm also talking about that you can't be number 10
because you have to win 2 road games.
You have to win 2 road games, and frankly, this team is already all over the place. To ask them to win 2 road games, I don't think that's going to happen. You need about 3 or 4 things to go your way to just try to get into some type of rhythm and potentially make some noise. I don't think if any of those things happen, it is funny.
It just makes you laugh. They need 3 or 4 things to get to the first round where they can play a series. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
You're the Lakers.
But it doesn't matter if you're the Lakers. But it doesn't matter if you're the Lakers. This is what we've watched. Take the name the Lakers out of it. This is the product that you have.
Yeah.
This is who you have.
Yeah.
So that's the path. If they're going to go make some noise, we just need to hit a few different lottery pieces.
The problem with your plan is, and you sold me on it, but I don't know if they're good enough to do the first part of the plan. Vanderbilt will either come back or he won't. Yeah. If he doesn't, I agree with you.
He's an important.
He's incredibly
piece.
important because he's, other than Anthony Davis, he's the only person on your team that's going to give you a consistent defensive performance.
Yep.
LeBron can kind of pick his spots here and there, but he's
a specialist on the side that the Lakers have now all of a sudden have refused to play.
You're going to need LeBron to be A+ LeBron offensively, which means you're going to get not much from him defensively. That's just the fact of having a guy that's in his 21st season. He can't give it to you on both ends every single night. Fine, whatever. Mm-hmm. When you watch them play, they're so flawed in so many ways that not only can they have to, what you're talking about, where avoid the 10, which, they probably will because of their schedule. They're going to win some games and probably crawl out of it.
They'll probably lose games we thought they were supposed to win.
Of course they will, because that's who they are.
Yeah.
So they're not going to crawl up to the 8. I think that their most likely spot is the 9. So do they win that game? Yeah, sure. Can they? Yeah, but you better hope that something weird doesn't happen, like AD gets hurt again or misses some time, or you have a bad night where he has one of those clunker nights. The problem after that is they're just not as good as the other teams that are in there. I know that they've beaten Oklahoma City. I know that they've had a pretty good record against Phoenix this season, and Phoenix is going the wrong way, like you mentioned. But when you just watch them play, there's just too many problems, right? That they don't defend the three. They don't defend, period. When LeBron makes threes, they got a chance. When LeBron doesn't, they're kind of cooked before
D'Lo has to go off.
D'Lo has to go off. You got to, quite frankly, let's be honest, you better hope it's not a close game. They're not very good at that, right? They're not very good when it comes down to executing and getting plays and getting good shots and making good decisions at the end of games, because they just seem to be a little out of sorts at the end of games. And I think that's a direct reflection of Darvin. He just does not seem to have a real good feel for how to execute those at the end of games. He just doesn't.
He's coaching for his job.
No question about it. If
this next 30 days will determine
if they
his job.
lose the 9-10, or even if they win 9-10 and lose the 7-8, he's gone. If they get beat in the first round, and I really think it doesn't even if he went 7 games against the number 1 seed, it's like I don't know. Like what are we doing here?
Okay, I'll tell you the only scenario I see, if it's Denver and it's a good series. It's the only one.
To do what? To come back and try it again a third year in a row and hope you don't run into the Nuggets?
But doesn't that sound like the only scenario?
I don't think that would make a difference. I think that it's literally you're going to have to go on a real run, not a hey, if A then B then B then C then C then D then D. It's most. Do you get to the conference finals again?
Okay, what if you got? This is so stupid to run these, but let's say you got the Thunder in the first round. You beat the Thunder in the first round.
Maybe that lets him wiggle off the hook a little bit. But I agree with you. He's fighting for his job. That if one of these things does not fire,
you just need 5 of 5 on the things I put out there.
If one of those things doesn't fire, you're in deep trouble.
It's so delusional. It's so delusional, and I admire your optimism, but it's just like it's
not even optimism. I'm just telling you that all these need to happen in order for them to do anything.
Here's Charles Barkley's response to all of this.
Our sister network on the idiots on the other network
keep
talking about the Lakers and the Warriors like they got a chance, but. Listen,
have a chance to call the play-in.
The play-in is not a real thing, just for the record. That's just something we made up, Shaq. It's just like the CBI tournament. That's what the Lakers.
The play-in is just like the CBI tournament is my favorite thing that Charles Barkley has said in a very long time. It's just something we made up. It's like the CBI.
We did make it up.
That's awesome.
We did make it up.
As Laker fans, the play-in has been our bread and butter for the 3 of the last 4 years. It's like this is without it. What are we talking about?
Well, okay. Here's the only thing. Without it, they would have got 7 seeds. This year is the one year where it's basically if you don't have the play-in, your last game's April 14th.
It's been
and their last game might be April 16th or 18th.
Hope AD's eye is better because without him, that was like, oh yeah. We answered the question, who's the most important guy on this team pretty quickly. That didn't take long.
When you saw him, he left at the end of the first quarter. I'm like, that's a wrap. Like, the game's over.
Pretty much.
Of course it is.
Pretty much. KD, LeBron, and Steph, all 3 or 2 of those 3 are not coming out of the play-in. That's next. It's Travis and Sliwa, 710 ESPN.
The most